Hi everybody, welcome to the video. This video is kind of different from what you saw what you've been seeing on the channel. This is kind of showing you, the viewer, what I do for a living for right now. Um, and it kind of gives you a it kind of gives you a look in what happens at a Subaru dealership on a Subaru Express team. So like you go into a Subaru dealership and you ask for an oil change and tire rotation. So this is pretty much the process on how I do it, how my car dealership does it. Your car dealership could do things differently. I don't know. Every dealership is different because they got different policies, different training, different everything. So enjoy the video, and I'll see you on the other side. So just setting up my camera because this is the second time I filmed this. The first time, the camera didn't go into landscape mode, and it was just in portrait. So instead of having those wonderful black bars on the side of the screen, we're gonna have nice, crisp landscape view. Because who wants black bars on their screen? I know I don't, and I was so mad. But luckily, I got a vehicle roughly the same. Also, you're not going to hear too much of the actual video audio because there was a technician using an air hammer to try to get a wheel hub out. So, I'm going to go grab the vehicle now. So let me explain to you what the process is. So we have a rack full of repair orders, or ROs. I'm going to refer them as now because repair order is just too much and ROs just come natural. So, Express Tech grabs an RO, takes it to his workstation, and then starts queuing it up in his computer. So I was doing that in the very beginning, queuing up the car, getting it set to my name, getting the multi-point ready, and just grabbing the car. So each car has a tag on it to help the technician find the vehicle, and has a designated area number on it to help once again the technician find the vehicle as fast as possible. So there's A, B, C, D. These are just parking zones, so it's generally the tag number and then the letter of the parking zone. So I believe this car was in D. I couldn't remember. But this car is also a 0.7. A 0.7 is a tire rotation, an oil change, and the cabin filter change. So there's just 0.7, there's 0.5s, and there's 0.3s. 0.3s are just your oil changes. 0.5s are your oil change tire rotations. 0.7s are the oil change, tire rotation, cabin filter. Now those are distinctions for my shop. Every shop is going to be different with those distinctions. So don't take this as end all be all. So here's me pulling in the car, hopefully straight on the lift, and then we check lights. Just to see if all the lights work. I'm checking my back lights. And then my coworker Irving comes in to check my lights even better, just to double check everything. Generally, you would have someone check your lights for you. So he's checking my back lights, just checking them over, making sure that they all work and none of them are out, because it's kind of hard to check if your lights are out while you're in the car. So, standard procedure, pop the hood, and just kind of getting everything queued up. Also probably double checking. So right here you're going to see me check the camera. First I'm going to pop the hood. You're going to see me check the camera here in a sec to see if it's still recording and in landscape mode. Because I don't want it to be portrait, so let me see if it does it. Let me see if I pull this camera down. Yep, there we go. Yep. So I just wanted to check to see if that was there. So with the hood popped, I'm going since yeah. So with a point seven, I generally personally go for the cabin filter first just to get it out of the way. It's kind of one of those things where you can easily forget with all the other things that you're doing. So putting my gloves on because we don't know what you have in your glove boxes or in your car. I've been in some pretty disgusting cars that I'm kind of happy I was wearing gloves. And plus, it's also for safety and sanitary reasons for your car as well. We don't want to get our nasty hands on your like nice colored interiors, like light colored interiors, like your beiges, your whites, all that stuff. So just pulling the glove box off to get to the cabin filter. The cabin filter is this right here. This is a tray cabin filter, as you can see by all the plastic around it. The cabin filter filters all the air that your air condition uses. That any air that comes through those vents generally goes through the cabin filter to get filtered. So Foresters, which is this model right here, are the only ones that really still use tray filters, which is all that plastic around the filter material. Generally, most Subarus nowadays, most other model Subarus just use a normal standard where it's just a filter. There's no tray. So I'm gonna go grab the new cabin filter, the new oil filter, and a crush ring. So Express has all access to parts because of the nature of Express is a fast service, fast oil change, fast tire rotation, and fast light maintenance work. So we have parts we can just grab right off the shelf, and they're already built to the RO, as compared to say like a main shop technician who has to call for the parts to be pulled and all that other stuff. So I'm just making sure I grab the right filter. There's the oil filter, that blue thing, and this is the new cabin. Comes right out of the bag, right into your car. So generally, most cabin filters, at least for Subaru, all cabin filters are behind the glove box, and I make all these wonderful faces when I'm working on cars. So enjoy those. So after that's all done, then I'm moving on to loosening the oil filter. So I just loosen it enough to crack it open, just to let all of the oil that's in that filter run down to the pan, and I'm taking off the oil cap. Checking the engine air filter. This is what filters all the air to your engine. Just checking to see if it needs to be replaced, if it's dirty. I'm not sure if I marked it dirty or not. The newer engine filters for Subarus are kind of hard to tell whether or not they're dirty or not. It takes a lot of dirt on them to make it look like they're dirty. It's just the material and the color. It's just kind of weird in how they work. They're not spaced out fins. They're just really compact fins within the filter. So this is a Subaru battery tester. I'm just testing the battery to see if it's still good. Testing the life of it, the amperage, and everything about it. So just obviously your standard procedure: positive to positive, negative to ground. Don't ever switch those. If you do, you will blow fuses in your car, or blow the computer in your car, which is not great. That's for jumping your car, not for battery tests. The battery testers won't turn on if you set it up wrong. So just setting that down on the hood, on the cowl of the car, just so you guys can see it. As that's happening, I'm checking other things. I'm checking belts. I'm checking for leaks. I'm checking just to see if anything seems abnormal. To me, if I think something seems abnormal, if I have the knowledge about it, I normally kind of bring it up to the advisor to relate to the customer. And if I'm unsure about it, I grab a main shop tech who has a little bit more experience than I do, or a little more knowledge than I do, and to get a better answer if that's normal or not. So as of right now, I'm just filling out the multi-point while that's working, making sure that everything is checked. So the multi-point is a inspection sheet that you receive for your vehicle after your vehicle's gotten serviced. Very easy to read. It's a colored system. It's red, green, and yellow. like your traffic lights. Green means it's all good. Yellow means that it's not something that you should be worried about yet, but it's something to keep your eye on. Red is, hey, you should probably think about doing something with this sooner rather than later. So as right there, as soon as that bar got filled, you saw this little screen pop up. That is a thermometer. It reads the temperature of the battery when you point it at it. And then what I'm doing right now is I'm scanning the VIN code of the vehicle identification number. This just calculates and and keeps a tab on what this battery test is, what car this battery test is for. And with the temperature, it calculates it into the battery. It calculates it into its little algorithm there to see, like, at this temperature, it should be running here, in this parameter, and this parameter. And as you can see, it's a good battery with a green check mark. If it was a bad battery, it would be a red battery with a big old black X through it, then say bad battery. When that happens, that is able to send emails. So we would send an email to the advisor to show the customer, and then mark it bad on the multi-point. So right now I'm lifting it to chest height, so I can go ahead and check the brakes. So usually the check brake, we have these things called flags, which are those things in my hand right there. Those are pretty much pieces of plastic with different thicknesses, different widenesses of plastic coming off the end of it. So you take that weird flag, we call them flags. We take that weird flag thing, they're measured in millimeters, from 10 millimeter all the way to 1 millimeter. You put that between the brake material and the rotor, and whatever flag fits in between that space is the measurement of the brake. It's pretty simple. It's kind of hard to get to them sometimes with what kind of rims are on there. So if that's the case, I generally go on the inside, check that one instead just to get there. So just marking the brake measurements on the multi-point and then raising it up to do the underbody check and the oil change. And also on here, I'm going to be checking the tread depths of the tires. So right here, I'm just checking the suspension components, sway bars, tie rods, inspecting the boots, see if anything's ripped, anything's loose. Doing the same with the rear, stepped in some water. Also checking the exhaust, see if anything rattles. I also noticed that there something plastic or something got entangled with this exhaust and just melted to it. If it was an issue, the customer would complain about it, saying that they were smelling something weird. So I'm hitting the exhaust, just testing to see if anything's rattling, if anything like that. If you have an exhaust leak, you'll know because your car would be significantly louder than usual. Right now, I'm checking tread depths. So tread depths are measured in 30 seconds. So it's like 1 30-second, 5 30-seconds, all that stuff. So the rule of thumb is that you check 3 tread depths, or at least our policies in our training. You check 3 tread depths. I normally go the innermost tread, the second innermost tread, and the outermost tread. And the lowest tread depth is the tread depth of the entire tire. So if, say, one tread has 6 30-seconds, the other one has 6 30-seconds, and the endmost tread has 5 30-seconds, that tire is 5 30-seconds. This also kind of gives you a good indication of how their alignment's doing. If you have really drastic changes in treads going from right to left or left to right, you know that there is a alignment issue. Plus, it's really kind of easy to see an alignment issue if you have done this long enough. So since the tread depths are done, I'm putting those into the multi-point, and I'm sending the multi-point off to the advisor just to give them the most time possible to, if there's any recommendations, to talk to the customer, recommend anything, and get that stuff approved for when this car goes down. I can easily do those recommendations. So Subaru Foresters are the only Subaru in the fleet to have these weird drain plug covers for some reason. No other model has these. So it's just held in with 4 body clips. Those just pop out. And you rotate that and you have access to your drain plug. Why the Forester is the only one that has these on it, I don't know. But no other Subaru model has these on it, at least as of today. So cracking the drain plug loose and putting the oil bucket there just to catch all the oil. Obviously, you don't want that to go on the ground. The little dangly thing there, so watch me not make a mess, because I've been doing this for quite a while. Whoop. There you go. Drain plug falls into the catch, which has nets and grates and stuff, so that it doesn't fall all the way through. Putting the drain plug in the rag while the drain, so I know where it is. Looking at the oil just to see if there's anything weird going on with it, if it's discolored or if it's shiny or anything like that. And while that's draining, I'm going to do tire pressures. Setting all the tire pressures to 35 pounds. It's what our policy says, so that's what we're doing. And it's also wintertime, so generally the more air in your tire within reason, the better. Because cold air means your tires are going to contract when they're not being used, and when they contract and then heat back up, you lose air. So that's why generally in the wintertime you see so many people's tire lights come on, and they generally take it into the shop to get their tires refilled. So that weird dangly thing on the stem of the drain bucket, that's like a magnetic drain plug puller. So you crack it loose, and then the end there has these 2 walls that you put either side of a drain plug on, and then you can just spin it freely. It's supposed to help mitigate mess and get your not get your hand all oily. But I've been doing it for so long, I can just loosen it and just kind of figure out if I just give it one more spin, I can easily just have the oil fall out and not get my hands all oily. So after I'm done with that, now I'm getting the drain plug and going to replace the crush ring. The crush ring is what seals the drain plug to the pan. It's a one-time use thing. So every time your Subaru gets oil changed, they should replace this. So it's a crush ring, so when it gets tight, that ring compresses, making a seal. The reason why you can't reuse that is because the seal is good for one time. So as you tighten it down, you'll feel that crush ring crush, and then that's when you stop tightening. Then just, cleaning up all the excess oil, because you don't want oil dripping on the customer's, driveway, because then they're going to be complaining that their car's leaking oil, and that's never something good. So just putting those clips back in the cover, and after I'm done with that, I'm going to lower it down for the tire rotation. Some people like to rotate their tires high. I like to rotate mine at chest level, because it gets pretty tiring on your shoulders after a while. So kind of standard procedure, just take all the lug nuts off, put them aside, and just kind of move on. So there's kind of two theories on tire rotations. There's a standard front to back tire rotation, and there's a cross rotation, depending on your dealership's policies and what they do. Majority of the time they just do front to back, so pretty much take the front tires, move them to the back tires to the front. A cross rotation's a bit different. Some dealerships do cross rotations with every rotation, or some dealerships like mine will do cross rotations if the customer asks, or if the tread depths kind of dignify it being a cross rotation. Cross rotation is taking the front tires, moving to the back, but taking the back tires and crossing them. So what that means is taking the driver rear tire, moving it to the passenger front, and then taking the passenger rear tire and moving it to the driver front. So as I'm doing right now, I'm making sure it's sitting flush with the hub to make sure that these lug nuts go on smooth and not cross-threaded. Sometimes the studs get pretty corroded or just have just a bunch of slag and dirt on them, which kind of make it difficult to spin a lug nut on. And plus, having stuff on your gloves doesn't help either. So, pretty much do the same all the way around. This tire kind of gives me a little bit of a trouble, at least the lug nut of this tire gives me a little bit of trouble. Because like I said, some build up on the wheel stud kind of makes it a little bit difficult to spin. Plus, I think this tire also had tire shine on the tires to make them look all shiny and new, and that's very greasy, so it makes everything slick. And trying to tighten a lug nut while you have slick fingers really isn't great. So starting your lug nuts by hand reassures you that A, they're not cross-threaded when you go back and tighten them down, and B, it just makes it faster than putting one on, tightening it down, putting two on, tightening it down. So there's a little commotion going on to the left of the screen that you really can't see. One of the parts runners has a wiper arm guard, or has like a wiper blade guard. It's just a piece of plastic that guards the plastic from getting ruined on your wiper blades when they're new. And she's just kind of hitting one of my coworkers with it. So it's just a little commotion and kind of funny. So like I said before, Express is kind of one of those departments that has just access to basic maintenance parts off the shelf. So we have parts runners for for main shop technicians that need stuff that they can't get off the shelf and just run parts that are upsold. So she's also really cool, so she just kind of comes along and just kind of hangs out with us sometimes. Once again, you guys can probably kind of hear the audio of the shop, but yeah, the air hammer is kind of gross and very, very loud. It's like a mini jackhammer. So right now I'm doing my best NASCAR pit crew imitation. So the way people tighten lug nuts is a star pattern. So there's generally 5 lug nuts. You just don't go in a circle and tighten them down. You kind of cross. So you tighten one down, then you go across from that one, tighten that down, go across from that one, tighten that down, go across from that one, tighten that down, go across from that one. Pretty much making a star. You tighten it down in a star pattern. So what I'm doing before I even tightening down, I'm pushing the bottom of the tire so it lays flush against the wheel hub. So you're not tightening it down and it goes on crooked. But you really don't have to worry about that unless they're aftermarket rims with a with a center cap that is a different size than your wheel hub. So after that, putting the vehicle down to finish the tire rotation. No, to finish the 0.7. So at this point, everything's all tight and all that stuff. So I'm going to now fill the car with oil. Well, before I fill it with oil, I replaced the oil filter. Subaru oil filters are on top, very easy to get to. So lubing up the other O-ring so it doesn't tear with oil just to prep it. Cleaning off the cup of excess oil and then screwing down the new oil filter. Only doing it by hand because heat over time will tighten that that oil filter. I'm sorry, I'm getting really distracted by this air hammer in my headphones. So filling it full of oil. This usually takes a minute because our oil pumps kind of run slow. Every Subaru is different. We have a little chart on how much oil each year, model, and type of oil. So after that, filling it full of washer fluid then. Just to top off the washer tanks. This part normally takes forever, especially if you have a tank that's completely empty. Because washer tanks are surprisingly big. After that, put the oil cap back on. And then go start the vehicle. Put the battery positive terminal back on. Cover. Start the vehicle to get all the oil flowing through the car. Letting that run for about 10-15 seconds. Turn the vehicle off. Grabbing a rag to check the oil. Check the oil level. Checking to see if the oil level is where it's supposed to be. Way back, wiping off any of the oil drops that come off the dipstick. Closing the hood. And then going to torque the wheels down. So torquing the wheels down just reinsures and tightens the lug nuts to where they're supposed to be. Because there's some people that just do it with a gun. And those over tighten lug nuts, which then evidently strip your studs if they can't come off. So just kind of, giving them a little tighten down and all the way with your air gun, and then coming around with a torque wrench to then finish them off all the way, setting them to 90 foot-pounds. Then after that's all done, just double checking to see if anything upsold. I don't think anything was recommended on this vehicle because it didn't really need anything. Finishing out the RO, just pretty much saying like, hey, I'm done on my side of things, so it's ready for you. Taking my gloves off in my typical fashion by shooting them like a bow and arrow. Once again, air hammer's going off because why not? I think I'm just double checking a couple of things. I honestly don't know what the heck I'm doing. Unless I just forgot. But who knows what I was doing that day. I'm just double checking the RO. Making sure the sticker's right. Sticker's in my mouth. Getting in. Changing the oil sticker. Then also resetting the internal monitors, or if you want to think about it, the internal oil change sticker. A lot of newer model cars have that, where they have a monitor that keeps track of how many miles you go and keeps track of the time. And then when that time is up or close, it gives you a little notification on your screen, like, hey, it's time for an oil change. If that sticker, because those stickers do have a tendency to smudge, smear, fade, and all that stuff. So this is just another reminder for you to get your oil changed. And then honking twice to signify I'm backing up, and then shipping the car out. And yeah, that's pretty much what generally a Subaru Express team or Subaru Express Tech does for an oil change. And then it's after that, it's pretty much rinse and repeat all day until your shift ends. After you ship that car, go back to the rack, see if there's anything else in there. If there is, grab it, and then do it all over again. There you have it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that kind of snippet into what I do for a living as of right now. Uh, just kind of shows my friends what I do, shows what you guys do, and kind of gives you a glimpse about what happens when your car gets taken into the shop. So, if you liked it, like the video. If you didn't, dislike it. Yeah. So maybe more stuff in the future if I can figure out what to film. I really don't know because I don't do that much main shop stuff. Plus, it's kind of hard to film with a phone, and I don't really feel like bringing a camera like a GoPro. If I had a GoPro, I would film a little bit more, but I really don't do that much anymore when it comes to like mainline stuff. Mainline being like your other stuff. Yes, this is ice cream. I'm eating ice cream at noon. What about it? But yeah. So I hope you enjoy the video. I'll see you in the next one. See you later.